Hello, everybody, and welcome to the June 16th Trips and Traps. I'm Andy Serling, joined by Eric Donovan.
We'll have 5 races to bring you this week in 2 separate segments, including the Belmont Stakes a little bit later on in that second segment. But let's kick things off with the first race of the week on June 8th, and we're going to look at the opener that day. Non-winners of 1, fillies or mares going a mile and 16th on the inner turf.
There's a lot of things going on in this race, and an interesting race to talk about for not just exactly what happens in the race and who may have been best, but for the way the race was run. There was not a lot of speed on paper, which compromised the favorite Sonata. Lady Grace Note could have benefited from it, and the horse who actually ends up finishing second, who's out there, Rocket's Escape, that horse ran the best race of all.
Yeah, we'll see it as they make the bend down to the backstretch here. Obviously, the pace really slow. They went the opening quarter, 26 and 3 1/2, went in 52 and 3 as well. And up front early on here, it's number 2 War Clan, and also the 4 Lady Grace Note is going to be up close on the outside there.
Right, and the rider of Sonata in here, Ramon Dominguez, does his best to try to have her in the game. The ride that I despised in here was that one, whether I'm right or wrong. You got Sonata back here. You've got Rocket's Escape making a big move, but the 4 horse Lady Grace Note, and I bet her, just to be honest here. And so, but the point was, there wasn't a lot of speed in here. And Karina Velasquez, who's been riding extremely well and rides the turf as well as anyone, I think this is a mistake. It's this. I can't look at her. If you're riding a horse like that, and look at the way he's got a restrainer, go to the lead.
Yeah, I mean, the only other question is, too, though, if you do go to the lead, how much more energy do you expend to clear, that inside horse? How much is going to be left in the tank late? But with the pace so slow, you got to figure he'd probably be able to do that pretty easily.
Yeah, in all likelihood, if he sends off the lead, he runs second to that horse, because Rocket's Escape would have had a more comfortable trip and won. But the point is, she had a tactical advantage in this race. She was the horse with the most speed. And as you can see from the rider, the way he's riding, she's never able to get comfortable. I just think these horses get sick and tired of this kind of rating, and when it matters, they spit it. And she doesn't lose by that much. She never took advantage of her tactical advantage. Rocket's Escapade really ran well here, though. You see making that 4-wide move.
Yeah, I hung up wide. It wasn't a sharp move, but just, losing ground around the turn there, trying to get up close to the pace there. Rocket's Escapade does run very well here. The winner's in behind horses in the red cap there toward the outside.
Yeah, let's talk about Sonata, though. We can look at these other ones. Sonata's the horse who has the trouble here. Ramon can't get through. He's blocked, a slow pace. Nothing goes her way. He tries to find a seam. He ducks her to the inside. Very hard to pass horses going through on the inside. Clearly, she's not through with that. She's getting to be kind of a tiresome. You can see Ramon barely has room. She's getting a little tiresome. She's burning a lot of money. She is good enough to win these races, but because of her running style, she keeps getting compromised one way or another. But the truth is, even at Saratoga, when she finally got the fairer pace or a fairer scenario, she didn't get it done. She's been a combination of unlucky, but she sort of makes herself unlucky.
She does. She's 1 for 12, and you got to wonder, if she doesn't get through this condition at Belmont, those races, A, are going to get tougher at Saratoga, and B, with the tighter turns there and more, more pack riding, I guess you would say, at Saratoga like that. It's just going to be tougher for her to be able to get that dream kind of setup up there.
Well, the problem that she runs into is races like this where there's no pace. So for some reason, for whatever reason, riders have decided, more riders and horses, and also trainers, the horses not having speed, that they never want to have the front, like a Lady Grace Note. I would like to have seen how Lady Grace Note would have done if Cornelio had sent her to the lead and not been strangling her the whole way. It's easy to be armchair quarterbacks and tell people how to ride, but I don't think she was ridden to the best of her potential. Whether or not she would have been good enough is another story, but you like to dance to the girl that brought you there and do that. Rocket's Escapade, clearly in a fairly run race of these, I think ran the best. Sonata's one we're getting a little tired of, but maybe one day she'll get the right setup.
And she'll probably be bet again next time.
She always
as well.
is.
All right, we'll take a look at a first-time starter now, and this is bound to happen. We'll fast forward to Friday's race number 6, New York State bred maiden special weight for fillies and mares going 6 on the turf.
Yeah, these are very tricky races, and Bound to Happen was the favorite in this race. The first-time starter, Lisa Lewis, trainer, just under 2-1 in here. And listen, this was not a particularly good field, but I don't think she's going to be meeting these superstars the next time she runs. And I think she's a horse that just found herself continuously losing position.
Right here toward the back of the pack, down toward the inside, and we'll see how the race unfolds. And it's a big long shot that wins this race, the 7 Persky's Heart with Julio Pazua at 27-1. Things from this point for Bound to Happen really have to work out. If you're going to try that ground-saving trip and not angle toward the outside here, you got to hope that A, horses in front of you aren't going to get tired, and B, that you'll have a seam to get through some of those tired horses as well. But that doesn't work out for Bound to Happen.
And C, you'll get through. Now she does move the 2 path here, but you can see the rider's got to take a hold hold of her here. And what happens in this race is a horse with speed wins, and then two deep closers, including the last place horse, who's not even in the picture, end up running second and third. And she's never in a position where she can make a clear run. And she ends up shuffled back basically to second to last on the inside. This is a position down here, you can't win from this position. And she needed to be, I always think of what Richie Migliore says about horses moving forward. And I do think she demonstrates here, because the rider can't barely even ride her here, that she had the prerequisite run to maybe make the run, but making that run down deep inside a horse, it's just not going to happen, especially for a first-time starter.
No, a lot of traffic there. And you also made a good point there about first-time starters. It's very tough to be able to come through there, the intimidation factor with other horses outside of you, in front of you, and whatever. My problem with this horse is that I think this race was just so weak that if she comes up in a different spot where maybe she doesn't look as good because she's got a little bit of trouble in the race and her figure's a little bit lower than everyone else, then I could like her a little bit. But if she's bet off this race as the favorite, I'd be a little bit skeptical because I think this was a real weak field.
Well, there's zero chance she'll be bet off this race as the favorite. The comment is saved ground and failed to menace.
Okay,
so
well,
I can't believe that she's going to be bet off of that race, and I think this is one that, in my opinion, and look, you can disagree, and that's fair, that's fine. I mean, I'm not suggesting that it's my opinion here's the be-all and end-all, but my opinion is that she didn't have a fair chance. I agree with what you're saying about this field.
No, she didn't have a fair chance.
One of the reasons she was a short price was the overall quality of the field. You're absolutely right. And she meets some tougher horses. You have to completely reevaluate it. But I'd like to see them this field line up at the gate again and take a chance with her at 9-2. That's all. That's what I'm.
This field line up at the gate again, you ain't getting 9-2.
Off of this, with this running line, I think you might.
I don't know.
We'll see.
We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Maybe I have to pay that $1 I owe you for Ruler on Ice, who I said would be over 30-1. We'll deal with him later.
Okay. Well, let's get on to the last race of this first segment here. We're going to take a look at Alvito. This is a $25,000 maiden claiming race. Alvito's the 4-horse here. Going a mile and a 16th on the turf, and a similar kind of trip as what happened about to happen last time.
Yeah, and Alvito, listen, you bet Alvito in this race, and neither one of us bet him, but you should have cashed your bet here. He was a very, very unlucky horse, but I think this is a situation, Eric, where you talk about this horse going forward. Do you really want this horse going forward? Because the second horse really ran his heart out the whole way, running hard the whole way, and the winner, Unforgettable PJ, at 61-1 is an 0 for 14 or something coming in the race. So is Alvito going to meet this same group, or will it be tougher horses next time?
Another important factor you have to consider here, Alvito is a horse that had been down at Tampa Bay Downs for trainer Roy Lerman, whose horses seem to take a lot of money when they come up here to New York, and this one is adding Lasix for this race, hadn't been out since March 2nd, so a fresh horse adding Lasix. This was kind of the day to have him, where you think if he's going to fire, he's going to fire this time.
If he could be 6-1 in this field, he could be any price in another field, especially given the trip that he had. And the comment is buried along the inside, rode the rail for that, came wide and settled, blah, blah, blah. Obviously, this horse is going to have a trip line, unlike the other one. Mm-hmm. So, if you're right, very right, Roy's horses really get bet. I'm not really sure why. I mean, Roy's a bit of a wise guy, but it's not like his horses are winning left and right. And you can see him, once again, just getting shuffled out of position and falling well back in the pack.
Yeah, toward the back of the inside, and similar thing as I said about what happened about to happen. Just you get jammed up down inside there, and you got horses outside of you, got horses in front of you. Some of them are getting tired. You're pinned down in there. It's just very hard to find the right kind of seam. And even if you're a jockey riding, you have your best day of riding. It's still tough to get lucky. It's a lot about luck and finding the right hole at the top of the stretch.
Right, and the easiest thing to do is say, "Oh, that rider made a mistake." It's Alex Solis. He's been riding extremely well. It's not. He's first of all, he's trying to do the right thing, and he's saving ground. You know what? Who's to say he didn't exactly the right thing? Now he has to angle all the way on the outside, but he ends up way back in the field. And don't forget, it's not a race where horses were making huge runs. The winner sat 4th and 5th. The second horse was first. The other horses all around him, were close to the pace. This is the one horse that made a run, and there's no question that if everything worked out perfectly, Alvito would have won, and Alex would have been a hero. The problem is, it just sort of fell apart in his face. But Alvito is better than he looks in this race, but this field won't come back exactly the same way, and you've got to reevaluate it.
Yeah, that's for sure. And I think he lost some time when he had to switch out to the outside of the top of the stretch. Once he was finally clear of those horses, he had to drop back a little bit to come outside. He doesn't have that strong turn of foot. I mean, he kind of grinded it out. It looked like a little bit down the stretch, but he still ran very well. And
dynamics worked against him. But once again, we like to hear your thoughts. Had some thoughts last week. We can always use them. Trips and traps at NYRAinc.com.
Come on back for the second segment.